shocking witness testimony.
It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze.
From whistleblowers who served in the military.
Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us."
People demand answers.
There is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
The hearing was enough to convince some lawmakers who were once skeptics.
Growing up, I really never believed in UFOs or any of this stuff. I admit, I've become a believer.
GOP Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison showed an alarming video leaked to him anonymously. Burlison contends it shows a U.S. drone firing a Hellfire missile at a UAP off the coast of Yemen last fall.
It pivots in some way, and then there's what appears to be debris from the missile. The missile is deflected, and then some pieces of debris appear to be traveling alongside and with this object for an extended period of time.
One witness says the federal agency tasked with investigating UAPs rules out encounters with extraterrestrials on a technicality.
The only way to scientifically prove extraterrestrial is we have to go to that planet, acquire technology, bring it back, and compare it to what we have here.
Lawmakers believe the whistleblowers are credible because of their position.
Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam, and yes, I know, I told you that a video would be up a few days ago, and the truth is, the more I watched the UFO footage clip that is one of the main focuses of this video, and the video that I've been wanting to make, the more unsure that I became about rushing the video out. And I didn't want to drop hot air and hype. I wanted the frames, the context, and something solid to show you guys. So I held off until I could dig a little deeper, and that delay sucked, but I'd rather be right than first. So we have the viral Capitol Hill UFO, which many of you have probably seen or at least heard about, and is known as the Hellfire missile versus a UFO. And not only do I want to review that footage with you guys and give my opinion on it, but also a major new update and potential debunk that just blew up online surrounding this footage, and really just break everything down for you guys so you can know the truth from the fiction. So to begin, this new UFO clip that hit the web recently has put the UFO/UAP phenomenon back on the front page. Footage captured by a US MQ-9 Reaper drone off the coast of Yemen last October, shown this month during a House hearing. Congressman Eric Burlison released the clip, and he said that it came from a whistleblower, and witnesses at the hearing included such people as George Knapp and former alleged Pentagon official Lou Elizondo. And, you know, on first watch, and even the congressman echoed this sentiment, the video looks amazing, almost alarming, in fact, where we see what we are told is a Hellfire missile striking a glowing object, the UFO in question, in which pieces separate. The Hellfire missile, instead of exploding, bounces off of the UFO, and then the object, along with the smaller objects that were created after the impact, separate and appear to continue moving. And where it appears almost as if the smaller pieces of the UFO, as it broke apart, began to almost orbit around the main larger object. And if you haven't seen the clip in its raw form completely, I will go ahead and play that for you guys now, so check this out. Okay, so I will be playing some enhanced and filtered versions. So to someone who is seeing this for the first time, and this included myself, and with the limited amount of information we were given about the footage, what we see is an object being tracked by this drone over the ocean. We see the Hellfire missile entering the frame at a high rate of speed and appears to make contact with this glowing white object. And remember, this is infrared, so we're not seeing it visually like you would recording with a normal camera. We're seeing heat signatures. And so this Hellfire missile, again, it appears to impact, but instead of exploding as Hellfire missiles are made to do when they hit things such as tanks or cars, it appears that the missile bounces off but still does some damage to this glowing object. And we see some fragments peel away, but they don't spray out radially and just vanish. They linger in a sort of tight proximity to the main body, almost like they're staying in a local field around the object. Thermal overlays show brief hot streaks at the separation points, then rapid cooling and persistence of the primary body or UFO, which then continues on, and some have said looks to even appear as if it goes underneath the waters, although I will leave it up to you guys on that theory, because I'm still on the fence. And the online community has absolutely been on fire with theories and discussion, about what this could have been. And when it comes to footage released at these UAP hearings by whistleblowers with no backup data, metadata, or source material, I'm always on the fence about whether I even want to post about it, because it's almost like, what is the point? As it could be doctored, edited, totally fake, or something completely different from what we're actually seeing, and we have no recourse to figure out what we're actually looking at. But I digress, because when I saw the footage, I'm sure like many of you, I thought, wow, this looks like something, compared to the past UAP footage that's been released. There was a wide range of explanations. We had mundane explanations, whether it be from Reddit, tech forums, sensor analysis threads, that pointed to obvious things first, such as balloons, weather devices, or optical parallax effects from a moving drone, where we had this fast maneuvering camera on this drone that was recording a relatively slow or stationary object, which can create illusions of speed or odd motion. Also, to note, certain sensors and compression artifacts can occur and warp how the fragments look. And these are valid technical calls, so don't ignore them, and they're going to come back into play here in just a moment.
This is another example of a flying UFO effect from something that isn't actually moving. All that's happening here is I am walking along, I'm pointing the camera towards this white ball which I've suspended from some wire from a tree. Here's a wider view, and you can see when I zoom in, the effect of it moving fast over a background is greatly increased. This is the original shot, where there's even less of an illusion, and here it is without the image stabilization. And you can see it doesn't look like it's moving at all, really. Here's the setup. There's a deer in the background.
George Knapp, who testified at the hearing, put it bluntly, stating, quote, that there are servers where there is a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to ever see. Another heavy line that came from Lou Elizondo was when he told the committee that, quote, he's never seen a Hellfire missile hit a target and bounce off. And that's why this UFO clip made its way to the Hill. So what are the real possible takeaways here? Well, first, authenticity matters. raw sensor files, chain of custody, operator logs. Those are the documents that move an item from viral clip to verified evidence. Second, if the footage is authentic, we need to rule out sensor quirks and missile fusing behaviors before we call this exotic. Third, the politics matter. The hearing confirms that some insiders believe that there's more material withheld, and that's now a congressional oversight problem, not just a curious clip on some forum. And again, before we go further here and we move on to this potential debunking of the footage, just watching it at face value, it does look pretty damn cool. I mean, it looks like a UFO is struck, at least partially. We see an object bouncing off of it, although there has been a lot of speculation as to what was the missile and what was the UFO. And as I said earlier, when it comes to the government and any sort of information that they put forth, especially totally unsubstantiated footage with no background information or data, and characters like Lou Elizondo, who has been caught presenting already long since debunked UFO footage and imagery at both public and private paid events, along with his totally dodgy employment history with the government and other people. You know, it causes a lot of speculation, especially with me and anyone that's been doing this for as long as we have, and especially as long as I have here on this channel. And I'm actually really glad that I waited an extra day or two to publish this video, because credit where it's due. A YouTuber by the name of Hank Green put up a video, and whose video I will link to down below. He put out a very calm, clear breakdown that pulled this footage apart in ways that a lot of people missed, and his whole video blew up fast. I think it's at 1 million views already, if not almost there, in just a day. And his main points are straightforward and testable. Parallax and zoom can make a slow or stationary object look insanely fast when a moving drone is tracking it. A Hellfire missile uses a crush fuse to detonate itself. It has to hit something with a pretty good impact, and it won't always detonate the way people expect on softer targets. The fragments, he said, look exactly like shredded mylar or balloon material, and identical fragment shapes seen in the video can be caused by lens or sensor artifacts, which we have seen in past released videos, such as, I believe it was the Jeremy Corbell footage of alleged triangular UFOs caught at night above a ship that ended up being nothing more than secondary artifacts caused by not only the footage being recorded secondhand off of a screen with a phone, but that the optic that recorded the footage itself had a triangular shaped sensor within it. And so it gave all of the objects and artifacts in the footage the same triangular shape, much like we're seeing in this footage here when the UFO breaks apart. And you can notice, as Mr. Green put it in his video, how all of the smaller pieces are exactly identical in their shape and how they look and everything about them. And those are crisp, testable observations. And as Hank said in his video, you know, once you hear the simple explanation for this footage and you watch the clip afterwards, it's almost impossible not to see exactly what he's talking about, which is what appears to just be a balloon that was struck by this Hellfire missile. The missile doesn't bounce off of it, but it pierces it, and because it's a balloon and did not have anywhere near the kinetic energy to detonate the Hellfire, which is why it continues passing right through it, and seems to have easily left a lot of the balloon or similar object intact. And believe me, these Hellfire missiles can slice through any kind of thin material. And the visual here matches a missile cutting a balloon, where we see a penetration and cut appearance rather than a full detonation and vaporization, you know. And then we see what appears to be a sort of shredded mylar or plastic fragment morphology, where, you know, the fragments look like strips of a balloon or mylar that float and tumble rather than something like heavy shrapnel of, an alien craft or something like that. And people ask, well, why does the debris or the smaller UFO objects look to orbit around the object? And you have to remember, the drone and the camera are at a certain distance, very high up above the ocean. The camera on it, along with the drone, move with the debris's direction that you're seeing here. So lightweight bits appear to travel together, but they are not orbiting. And then we have things like wind vectors plus drag that keep the pieces together. Imagine a slow-moving balloon at basic wind speed, which, based on the calculations of the HUD data and the numbers down in the corner of the footage, the object that we're seeing in said footage is actually moving very slow, as I said, about wind speed. But because of the way the drone is circling and recording around it, it gives this effect as if it's moving much, much faster. And so if you have a balloon that is partially torn, flying steadily in one direction, so are the smaller pieces with it going to be moving in the same direction, and will continue to stay close and maintain a similar trajectory instead of spraying outward. And again, not to mention the fact that this is a phone-filmed sensor screen plus compression issues added onto it. The footage is a camcorder or a phone filming off of a screen, yet again, like so many of the past UFO releases we've seen in Congress, adding extra layers of processing and compression that create visual artifacts and hide metadata. And if you look closely, when the missile passes through what appears to be a balloon, you can actually see this sort of distortion and wobbling effect as if you were to pass a missile through one of these high-altitude weather balloons. Another final thing to mention in Hank's video was of the question of why this footage would be leaked rather than staying classified. Hank argued in the video that he posted that if this were a true national security threat, they would have heavily classified it. It would have never seen the light of day. The public leak pattern here suggests that this might be more about political theater or forcing transparency than exposing unknown alien technology. So essentially, I guess the game plan is to use footage that's not actually of legitimate secret alien tech or secret military tech, but it's just to use footage of natural things that look anomalous in order to, I guess, get the government to usher in disclosure, which I think we all know will never happen, because a government that has been practiced in deceit and covering up things such as UFOs for hundreds of years is not going to suddenly change their stance and allow footage of actual alien craft be leaked to the web in the ways that it has as of late. But as I mentioned at the beginning, you really need to go over and watch Hank's entire video and then watch this footage over and over. And it really did, as he stated, become clear. You use a little common sense, you do a little research and critical thinking, you learn how Hellfire missiles work, you learn about high-altitude weather balloons, you learn about how drones and the cameras on them work, how the sensors work, and suddenly, where before it looked like we were watching footage of a missile bouncing off of a UFO and, smaller bits orbiting around it as if there was some sort of gravity field, well, that kind of just falls apart and it starts to look like a balloon is torn through by an undetonated Hellfire missile, and in which the fragments continue to drift and fall, but that, however, due to the perspective created by the drone and its camera and the way that it's filmed, and the fact that this is thermal and not a regular video in the regular color visual spectrum, it makes the footage look a lot more cool than it actually is. And so I really want to hear your guys' opinions on this. I think that Hank has pretty much nailed it when it comes to this footage, but don't let that dishearten you, because the UFO phenomenon is very real, and the mountain of evidence validating the existence of otherworldly beings and technology visiting our planet far outweighs any evidence that we are alone on this planet and that everything has a natural explanation behind it. And all one has to do is go back through my thousands of videos here on the channel where you will see evidence, I promise, you've never seen anywhere else. and I've got more coming. UFO footage sent in by viewers, including footage taken telescopically of unknown objects captured moving out deep in our solar system near other planets, specifically planet Saturn, and that's going to be coming up in my next video. So head over, check out Hank's video, come back here, tell me what you think. I'd really like to know. I was going to mention Charlie Kirk in this video. However, I already made a post on social media on the day that it occurred and said what I needed to say. And if you want to head over, you can go to the community post section on my channel and see my post regarding that and where I stand on it. And I will go ahead and link to that post down below as well if you want to head over and give it a read. But bottom line is, no one should be silenced for telling the truth or trying to find answers. So thanks again, guys. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you back in just a bit. Stay safe.